a shocking video showing someone from China's consulate in Manchester, UK, is now doing the rounds. That video is on your television screens, and in this video you can see officials of the Chinese consulate in Manchester kicking down pro-democracy protesters as well as signs. A protester then appears to have been dragged behind the consulate gates and beaten up by the consulate staff. Many believe that the man kicking down the banner and the person, the protester, is the Consulate General of China in Manchester. The consulate staff with the Consulate General allegedly physically attacked one protester. They pulled up the protester's hair, and also there were other aggressive actions that were made allegedly by the staff of the Chinese Consulate General in Manchester. Just for some background, this protester was somebody from Hong Kong. The protesters that were gathered outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester were protesting China's invasion of Hong Kong, and that is when this incident in question took place. If we can just take the touchpad on my right here in front of me on our television screen. So there you have it. That is a close-up image of what exactly transpired outside the UK, outside the Chinese, outside the Consulate General of China in Manchester. Now you can see there is one person here in a yellow mask, and this is allegedly a protester named Bob. Now, Bob was standing outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester in the United Kingdom when he was protesting against China's invasion of Hong Kong. Now, as all of this was transpiring, we've learned that this person, this protester named Bob, was pulled inside the grounds of the Chinese consulate, and after which he was harassed. He was physically harassed. So there you can see his hair being pulled. You can see somebody also trying to stab his eyes with their hands. And on the other hand, you have the UK police which is trying to pull back Bob from inside the consulate. Now the big question here that remains is this person in question who you can see pulling the hair of Bob. Is this the Consul General? That is the big question. With us on the broadcast, we have Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal. We also have Sanjeev Srivastav, who is a foreign affairs, international affairs expert. And last but by no means the least, Wing Commander Bakshi also with us on the broadcast. Ambassador Goyal, if I can just take this question from you. What's happened in Manchester is shocking, to say the least. You have somebody who's protesting outside the grounds of the embassy, and then they're pulled inside, and then they're heckled, they're harassed. Now, if we speak in terms of, what qualifies as territory of the Chinese government, Ambassador Goyal, the consulate by itself is territory of the Chinese government, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And so does that mean that once the protester was pulled into the grounds of, the embassy, then it was free for the Chinese the consulate staff to do as they pleased? Is that also something that we can then make of this?
No, I think that goes beyond civilized and diplomatic behavior. Can I go beyond yes and no now?
Yes,
Paridhi?
Yes, please, sir.
Thank you. Paridhi, there is a Geneva Convention which governs the rules for public behavior, which governs the privileges and the immunities of any diplomatic personnel and diplomatic premises, mission and consulates. And the personnel of the mission fully and the consular personnel to a large extent are covered by these privileges and immunities. Now, as far as the law is concerned, and therefore quite correctly, once a person is actually into a diplomatic premises or consular premises, they are on the property of the foreign country. But if a person is pulled into the consulate, that is called abduction. Can a person from consulate office be allowed to abduct a person into its own offices? I don't think so. Because even the immunities, nowadays the custom is that if a person is engaged in criminal behavior and abduction will be a criminal behavior, then the sending country, in this case China, would normally waive off the diplomatic immunities. Now, in this particular case, it's impossible to expect China to behave in a civilized manner or a proper manner and waive the immunities of whoever it was. I don't know who it is. They're unlikely to do it. But this is a criminal conduct of anybody, whoever it is. And therefore, it is quite within the power of the UK government, if there is a government still there, after all the difficulties Liz Truss is facing. It's quite well within their power to raise a protest note to Chinese government, through the consulate, about this behavior of abducting a person. And then this can become an international situation.
Ambassador Goyal, a very short follow-up question that I have for you. You've mentioned the fact that, the diplomats that are inside the Chinese embassy, they're protected by law, right? So the UK government per se cannot take any action against them. So then the investigation that has been launched by the Manchester police, where can it lead to? And what is the most that UK can do to reprimand, the diplomatic personnel in question?
Okay. First of all, if the investigations prove that this was actually a case of abduction by a Chinese consular person, then the first step is protest note, in which the government of UK will ask the government of China to waive the diplomatic immunities for this person, so that there can be a case initiated against him or her. Number two, if the Chinese government does not agree to this thing, it is well within the power of the government of the UK to declare that person as PNG, persona non grata. The USA and Russia and other countries, they do it from time to time. And once a person has been declared persona non grata, he or she will have to leave the UK and go back to China.
Okay, so they'll have to, so if at all anything is proven, they're going to have to leave the United Kingdom, going to have to head back to China. If I can just quickly take one last question from Wing Commander Bakshi, and then we'll wrap this up because we've run out of time. Wing Commander Bakshi, very briefly, yesterday we saw Xi Jinping speaking at the CCP Congress. He said that all is well in Hong Kong, but then you have protesters that are protesting in Manchester who were then pulled into the embassy allegedly and heckled with. What does this tell us of where China stands right now in the world?
Absolutely. Thank you, Paridhi. Ambassador Goyal is absolutely correct. You see, though the law of the land in the area, in the entire Manchester is of Great Britain, but question is with their political immunity, diplomatic immunity, which Chinese embassy or consulate enjoys, they will have the immunity. There is no doubt about it. But once the person is declared persona non grata, thereafter he has to leave the country. But let me tell you one thing: there can, if Great Britain is not satisfied with the Chinese behavior, then the consulate also can be asked to go. There is no doubt about it. They can close and tell Chinese, we don't want you here. Because if Chinese persist in these activities, then some countries will take this action also. And this action has been taken against Chinese at places. So that's not the thing not happen. But question is, everything will be under discipline and human behavior. I mean, you cannot become goons and rush into the embassy and kill people or hate people. No, that will not be done. I don't think United Kingdom will allow that. But within the precincts of the international laws and humanitarian aspects, this aspect has to be taken. A lot of Indian people have been declared persona non grata, and Pakistanis have been declared persona non grata. They have to leave within hours. It has been done. So it can be done.
So then from what I understand is the big question that only remains is what exactly transpired at the Chinese consulate in Manchester, United Kingdom, and whether or not these were in fact officials of the Chinese consulate that were involved in attacking a protester who was protesting against China's invasion of Hong Kong. Now, it's yet to be ascertained what exactly transpired. We're still waiting for word from the UK police that have launched an investigation into the matter.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.